What's up, guys? Today is day 56, trying to make $1 million, bro. $1 million! I have zero viewers right now, but I have, let me show you, 167 subscribers. Yo, let's go. 167 subscribers. Zero viewers for now, but not forever. Okay, for today, what I prepare for today. Let me share a screen with you guys. In 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okay, wait. That wasn't what I wanted to show. Okay, I'm very interested in learning from this guy that is the founder of Gymshark. I know I can learn a lot from this guy, so that's why I'm choosing videos from this guy. This specific guy is the founder of Gymshark.
I cannot believe I'm...
Wait. Something happened with my computer. Okay, let's go. Let's watch this video.
Stood here saying this, but Gymshark is worth $1.4 billion.
Whoa, bro. That's a lot of money, bro.
$1 billion. It's like a weird feeling because ultimately what we've just done is signed off as having Gymshark as a $1 billion+ brand, which is like out of this world, because it was only 8 years ago, pretty much to the day, that I was like hand sewing and hand making and hand printing products and hand packaging them and sticking it into a bag and carrying it down to the post office and standing there whilst each one was stamped and sent out across the world. And to go from that to $1 billion brand, or more than $1 billion brand, is just insane. And like this is a really weird moment. I'm really not realising right now just how far we've come. We have literally come from hand stitching a product to being $1 billion brand. I'm so happy with how far we've come, but I'm so much more excited about how much further we've got to go. Today I wanted to be completely transparent with you guys, and I wanted to record a full video talking through what's been going on over the last few months, what the shareholding looks like now, and what our future plans are here at Gymshark to make sure that this is one of the biggest and ultimately the best fitness brand in the entire world. So, this process, Gymshark is bringing on investors ultimately, and I know what a lot of you guys will think, is Ben selling out? Is this going to change the business? Absolutely not. All we're doing here is we're just formalizing the sort of share structure of the business. There's been a reorganization, which I'll talk you guys through in a minute, which is brilliant for the business. So if anything, you'll see Gymshark even more agile than ever. I'm going to have even more input and control over the future of the business. And ultimately, it's all about making sure that Gymshark continues on its rocket ship growth trajectory, continues to build out what we believe the future of brands and fitness communities look like, and end up becoming a truly, truly global brand. If I go back to when I founded this business, right, I was very young. I didn't really know what I was doing in this world. All I knew is that I had a dream of being involved in fitness, and I had a vision in terms of how I believe that brands, particularly in the space, should interact with people, how communities work. And I ultimately had all the difficulties of going to the gym the first time, feeling like everyone's staring at you, not really knowing what to do. I felt like the clothes just weren't right for me. And ultimately that's when we ended up going off and making our own clothes, right? And that's how Gymshark started. We realized very quickly that we were onto something brilliant. And it was at this point that Gymshark started becoming a lot more of a business, right? We started to hire staff and we started to build out a more formal process. And it was at this point, 21 years old, I think it was, I realized that I was really good at certain things and really, really bad at others. And it was at this point that we brought on Paul and Steve, who have completely and utterly revolutionized the business. And albeit looking back, that seems a very obvious decision to make. And to be fair, I've received a lot of credit in terms of bringing those people on, in terms of removing myself from the chief exec role and Steve coming in and really managing the day-to-day of the business. And I remember in terms of, albeit the very small amount of people that were working at Gymshark at the time, there was a lot of people that were questioning that decision, and ultimately my gut instinct told me that it was the right thing to do because it would help develop and grow the business and the brand. It would allow me to focus on what I'm really good at, but also allow me to learn in the areas that I'm not good at. Give me a little bit of a safety blanket, which would allow me to fail in the areas that I'm weak at, because Paul and Steve would cover those gaps. And ultimately, the decision was about continuing to grow and build the business in the right way. So since those guys have joined, it's been about 5 or 6 years, and it's been an amazing 5 or 6 years. You know, there's been ups, there's been downs. About 5 years ago, Lewis left the business, who I co-founded the business with. It just wasn't right for him, it wasn't working, so he sort of left, which I'll come back to in a moment. So yeah, it's been a huge learning curve, and just, albeit, believe me, it's incredible, and I genuinely think I have the best job in the world. There's been some incredibly difficult moments on that journey as well, and I have to thank both my friends, my family, and all the people around me here at Gymshark that have helped me get through that. So I think at that point, at the point of Lewis leaving, I think we were in the revenues of about 10 to 12 million pounds. Now we're well into the $300+ million, 250, 260 million pounds last year. So the growth has just been
Okay, it's very interesting that this guy is sharing his story. One of the important lessons we learned yesterday was that we need to share our story. It's very important to share your story so you can connect with people, you can interact with people, more people will know you. If you share your personal story, the story of your brand, but you need to share your story. That's what I was trying to do yesterday. I share a little bit of my story with you guys, why I decided to start this project, what I decided to start with Living with That, with my brand, Big Way, why I decided to write 100 things before I die. So he's sharing his story right now, and that's also helping him to reach more people. More people will know about Gymshark, and he's with this video probably he's trying to internationalize his brand. So a very important point is that I need to share Big Way story. I probably in the future, when I start selling shoes, I will make a video sharing Big Way story.
absolutely huge. And I've always said to you guys that I always want to take every single leap possible to take this into being one of the biggest and best brands in the world. And I think it would be remiss of me to not continue to bring in the right people that will help elevate us to that next level. Ultimately, we want to keep pushing forward and creating and building what we believe the future of what brands look like. So a year ago, we made the decision to bring on an investor, and this has been a really long, considered and steady process. We haven't rushed it whatsoever because we know that this is one of the most important decisions that we're going to make as we move forward. So going into this, we weren't looking at necessarily the highest value. Obviously, we wanted fair value, but ultimately we needed the right cultural fit, and we needed the company that we felt would really and truly help grow Gymshark in the right way into a truly global brand. And I say in the right way because the old playbook for success in brands was you create as much product as you can, to put into as many stores as you can, to please as many people as you can. And that was really good for fast growth. But ultimately, that led to big, slow, clunky businesses that didn't truly understand their consumer and had no control over the consumer experience or their data. But we needed someone that really, truly understood and aligned with our vision of how we want to grow Gymshark. Because we don't necessarily want to grow Gymshark in the quickest way. We want to grow it in a way that we feel is right, both given our morals, our values, but ultimately where the market is going and where we think the future of brands should be. So I'm absolutely buzzing to tell you that we are signing with a company called General Atlantic. And we saw a lot of companies, and there was a brilliant 3 companies at the end that we were working with, and they were absolutely brilliant. But General Atlantic, particularly Gabe and Melis, the first time we met them, they just got this brand. They completely understand where we want to get to. And just culturally, they were just dead on. Like, it was one of those moments, right? It's like when you know, and we 100% knew with these guys. And these people, this company will truly help us grow. They will help us develop in the right way. So one of the questions that I am bound to get the most is going to be around shareholding. What does this look like? Ben, are you selling out? Are you reducing your shareholding? All this sort of stuff. And the short answer is no, and I'll explain how and why in a minute. Right, so previously, Gymshark shareholding as of several weeks ago, and it's been this way for the last 5 or 6 years, I own 67% of the business. Lewis, who I co-founded the business with, owned 20% of the business, and the rest was split between Paul and Steve, essentially between 6 and 7%. And that was the structure of the business. And that was great for me because I had majority shareholding. I could really push forward with the way that the brand was moving. But like I said, ultimately, Lewis left the business years ago. So as we went into this process, I gave Lewis a call and I said, listen, we're looking at doing this. And he came back to me and he said, I want to crack on, I want to move on, I want to do other things. And as a result of that, I'd like to sell all of my shareholding. So fortunately, which is, it's great for everyone, we're buzzing because now that sort of frees up that extra shareholding that we've got in the business. So the new shareholding will look something roughly like this. So General Atlantic will have a bit over 20%, so it's going to be around 21% of the business. I will have 70%, so I'm actually increasing my shareholding here from 67% to 70%, which I'm really, really excited about. So General Atlantic will be around 21%, I'll be a little over 70%, and my brother Joe is also going to have about 1% shareholding in the business as he was employee number 1, and he's just an integral part of this business. And then the rest of it is split between all the leadership team, Noel, Niran, Perrins, Gemma, Dave, Philip. And
one important thing that we learned from Simon Squibb in What's Your Dream book, I really recommend you guys this book. It's super powerful. You can learn a lot about purpose and business. So one important thing we learn is that you need to give equity in your business, because it's better to have 21% of the business of the best business in the world, own 21% of the company, than to own 100% of a company that is the worst company in the world. So you need to give your team equity. You could give them a very small percentage of your company. That don't represent you will give all your company for free, but that means you are giving them equity. You can give the A players a small percentage of your company, because it's better to have the best company own 21% of the best company in the world than own 100% of the worst company in the world.
obviously, Paul and Steve as well will still hold shareholdings in this business going forward. So that's the utterly, completely transparent view. Culturally, will the business change? Absolutely not. If anything, it will just get better and better. General Atlantic will continue to amplify the culture in this business. And that's what I'm so excited about, right? Is amplifying this culture, making sure that we maintain it as we continue to grow, because we really are in unknown territory here, right? Gymshark is a $1.45 billion brand. We're doing $300 plus $400 million revenue in the next sort of 12 months. This is a rapidly growing brand. People haven't been in this situation before. The old playbook has been thrown out the window, and we're going on this growth journey in a completely different way to what anyone else has ever done it before. And who knows where it will take us. What you'll often see in businesses, especially when they get to this sort of size, is business growth or business size increases and transparency decreases. Whereas the important thing for me, leading this business, having founded this business, is that as the business gets bigger, transparency almost increases. I want to be completely transparent with you guys, and I've had a lot of feedback in terms of how great it is that we are being so transparent previously, but I know that no one is as transparent as what we are now, certainly for the size that we're at. But ultimately, to summarize, we've got an incredible partner. They're a great cultural fit. They're going to help amplify the Gymshark brand and help us to continue to grow. The shareholding is much more tidy now, which I'm really, really happy about, and it gives me more control in this business and its direction than I think I've ever had. In terms of our growth going forward, North America, North America, North America, that is a huge opportunity for us. And about 3 weeks ago, I was supposed to get a one-way flight to Denver, Colorado. Me and Robin were going to move out there. I was going to head up the US office, but then COVID got in the way, and that's been essentially delayed until further notice. So yeah, we're opening the Denver office. We've got 2 distribution centers opening in America as well. We've already opened our Canadian one in Toronto. The 2 in the US will be in Ohio and in California. In terms of Europe, as soon as we open that US office, that means that everyone here in headquarters can focus in 100% on the European proposition. Finally, where I think GA really will help us as well, is in our APAC expansion. So we're currently looking into that, how that looks. So that's a project that we're currently working on as well, which I'm absolutely buzzing about. So there it is. That's everything that's gone on Gymshark in the last few months. It's been possibly the most difficult experience of my entire life. It has pushed me to my limit, and with that, it's been probably the most fulfilling experience of my life. I never thought I'd be sat here having this conversation with you guys. I never thought I'd be able to say this. I didn't know Gymshark would get to this point, but I just want to thank everyone that supports Gymshark, everyone that supports our vision, everyone that supports me and the team here. Genuinely, it means the world to us. Regardless of how it is, whether it's supplements, whether it's clothing, whether it's through fitness and competing, whatever it was, I just wanted to be involved in fitness. And at this point, bought the screen printer, bought the sewing machine, and handmade the clothes. So I do university in the day, I do pizza between 5 p.m. and 10, and then do Gymshark on the evening. I wish I could say it was some sort of genius move, right, where we'd sort of worked out what this business plan is. It was nothing like that. It was literally a case of following our gut instinct and doing what we thought was cool and right at the time. We have literally come from hand-stitching a product to being $1 billion brand, and I've never been more sure in my life than where this thing is going. I feel I'm at the centre of ultimately the greatest community in the world and the greatest business in the world and the greatest brand in the world, and for that I'm so grateful.
Okay, what interesting. What was my work? 100 million euros. Okay, what an interesting story. I need to share my story in the future, the story of Big Way. For now, I need to become an expert on running shoes. How running shoes are made, the testing and development of own running shoes.
Now, a running shoe does not just arrive in a box ready to go off the shelf in the running store. In fact, there is a small army of people involved in that production process from start to finish. But key to that are the professional athletes themselves who are training and racing in the shoes day in, day out. Now, their specific feedback is fundamental to the entire development and continual improvement of those products that the companies are producing. And that in turn has a direct trickle-down effect on you guys, the customers, who are going to be buying them. So today we've been invited by Bart Ehrnouts, second place finisher at Hawaii Ironman 2018, and our channel partners On to get an insight into the nuts and bolts of that shoe design process as Bart discusses his shoes with them here at their headquarters and testing facilities in Zurich. On is a fairly new running company, only founded in 2010 right here in Switzerland. And perhaps you're not even that familiar with what makes On a unique running shoe company. Well, let me tell you, it is these. It is their Clouds, which is their innovative technology which sits in their soles of all of their shoes. And I was quite interested to find out exactly what it is that goes into the making of these and how On brings these shoes and that technology to the marketplace.
Enchanté.
So I'm here in the research and design facility that On have in-house here in Zurich, and my word, this is quite an impressive space. But this is where I'm going to learn about the role that somebody like Bart has in the whole design of a shoe. And talking about those shoes, this is essentially where they are born. The idea or concept, or as the team refer to them, a monster. And this is what I've got here in my hand. It's a handmade shoe, essentially an amalgamation of lots of different models that can be stuck together. And this is really their starting point, and that then moves on to this, which is the technical designs, which, as you can see, are far more intricate in their nature and loads of detail going on here. And this here is what can then be sent on to a further development team, which are in Vietnam. And that team is then able to use these designs to create a prototype. So moving on from the monster. That prototype design can then get iterated and move forwards, bounce back here to the team in Zurich. And that loop is where the athletes like Bart come into play, because they can offer their invaluable feedback that allows that iteration process to move forwards. That whole loop can take up to 4 or 5 runs until everybody, both here out in Vietnam, are happy with what they've designed with the shoe. And at that point, usually about 18 months down the line from this initial monster phase, there's a shoe ready for production. So today, Bart has kindly allowed us to follow him as On analyse his running in a variety of different shoes. So they'll start in the lab and later move on to the track. But by no means is Bart the only person that On rely upon in order to perfect their shoes. Now, although we've been following Bart through his feedback process today here at On, he's certainly not the only professional athlete that they work with who they've gone through similar idea feedback loops with. The likes of Tim Dong, we've had Nicolas Sperg and Javier Gomez too, who've all contributed to the development and tweaking of shoes that are going to be coming out in the future. But that aside, it's not just the professional athletes that a company like On use. Indeed, they've got an entire testing pool of over 100 test runners who they give shoes to, crucially in a size 44, which is my size, or a size 38 for the women, which they give out, allow people to test, and you can see test with the little T on the back of these shoes here. And that just allows the company to get a much broader spectrum of data and information points back that they can go forward with. Improving their shoes. So after some testing, Bart's now back here. We're at the headquarters of On, so he can have a sit down and feedback session with Kevin and Dina, part of the research and development team here at On, so that he can give as good a feedback as possible so they can work with that information and improve the shoe as it goes forwards.
Yeah, I mean, you run with this shoe. What do you think about the current Cloud Flow? You take it for competition. What's your feeling with it and your feedback on this shoe?
So with the current Cloud Flow, I'm using it quite often in training. I never raced with it because I really like the shoe, but somehow the fit in the shoe didn't feel like 100% for me to race in it as well. So I like a lot of the things about the shoe, but maybe it's not 100% fit for me for a race shoe.
Yeah, I mean, we did the analysis on the treadmill. We have it here on the laptop, and Dina can maybe show you the result.
Exactly. So we compared the different shoes and had a look at both versions, the red one and the blue one. And it kind of correlates with what you say. So your subjective feeling can be seen in the numbers and in the data that we see here. So the main parameters that we look at would be running economy and elastic exchange. So running economy is the amount of energy that you use for a certain distance that you run. And obviously we try to use less energy. That means we can go faster and we can go longer. And the elastic exchange is the value of energy, of force that you can save in your muscles and in your tendons, so in your body, and then exert onto the ground at push-off. So these two values are very important. We want to have a low economy value, so low energy usage, but a high elastic exchange, so high value of return of energy. And we did also see here the difference between the two shoes, and it just seems that your body seems to work a lot better with the red shoe. So you seem to feel more comfortable, and this also results in a change in your running style a little bit. So it's big enough change that we can actually see a difference, and we believe that you would be more comfortable also running races in the red shoe.
As well as getting feedback on his running economy, Bart helped On by suggesting slight changes in their shoes. On then collate this information and use it for products.
Okay, I think at this point it's enough. It's enough. Because this is all the process that On uses to create their running shoes. You need to become.
So these are all the shoes I currently have in my running shoe rotation, and I'm going to go through every single one for each of their purposes. So that goes from an easy recovery run all the way down to race day. I'm going to talk about which shoes I wear the most, and then also talk about which shoes I'd recommend the most. Some shoes I've had for years and keep on getting, whether that's an upgrade or the same version over and over again because of how much I love the shoe, and other shoes I've only just got or had for a very short period of time. I'm going to be completely transparent. There's no shoes in this video that I'm being paid to say anything about. There's no reason I've made this video other than to just show what my running shoe rotation is. So everything I say about each of these shoes that I wear is my own.
Okay. Okay, probably with this video I can become an expert in running shoes. Because I need to become an expert in running shoes in order to launch my own running shoes.
Own personal opinion and nothing else. And there is some shoes that aren't here which I wear very occasionally. I've tried to make this video with the shoes that I wear consistently. Also with sessions I can wear more than one shoe in one session. So it is actually surprising how quickly I'd get through all of these shoes here, which I have to guess is probably around 30 pairs of shoes. So without further ado, I'm gonna get into it. I'm just gonna get these off the table. Shouldn't have done this. I really shouldn't have done that actually, because now I'm gonna have to fish through them. I should have stopped the video and prepared them all. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do. So that took longer than I'd care to admit. Every shoe in this video is a shoe that I really like and would suggest that other people use as well. Maybe with one caveat, which I will get into and explain why. But other than that, every single shoe I think is an unbelievable shoe. So starting at the slower end, I'm gonna cover easy run shoes first. And I'm talking like pure, easy max cushion shoes. And the first one is the Puma Mag Max. As you can see, it is massive. And the reason I love it is because of how big it is, how much it protects your legs. In fact, I'd probably say it's almost a little too big. So there's sometimes I put this on and I almost have to get used to how big it is. And where I live, there's a lot of hills and this sometimes doesn't feel great running up them, but running down them and on the flat, it just really protects the legs design. And the upper's really comfy as well. It's just a shoe that I put on when I want to reduce impact as much as possible. Another shoe in that category, which I've been loving at the minute, is the Skechers Aero Burst. Skechers.
I love this part of the shoe. Looks very interesting, but the problem is the color white, because if you use this shoe constantly, this would be a problem.
I've really improved in recent months. I've got quite a few of their shoes at the minute which I'm trying and training in, and this is just their max cushion shoe. To be honest, this is the shoe I've been wearing the most in terms of my recovery days at the minute.
That's a problem, because it gets dirty, bro, because of the constant usage.
Just easy runs. I just think it's really smooth, really comfy, flows really well, reduces impact a lot, and it looks kind of crazy, I think, with the waves and the colours. So it's just a really nice shoe to have on your foot. Not quite as big as the Puma, but it's definitely just as comfortable. and it just flows really well, and I've been really enjoying it. Next is a shoe that has kind of maybe been worn less recently because of the previous two shoes I've mentioned, and that is the Hoka Bondi 9. Similar story to the other two shoes, it's just really nice, flows really well, and it has a lot of cushion. This is probably, along with the Skechers, a bit more of a stable ride compared to the Puma, which is just so big it feels a bit crazy at times, which isn't a bad thing if you want to minimize impact as much as possible. But this is a bit more of a no-nonsense, kind of straightforward max cushion trainer. So I would probably recommend this for most people if they just want something that's really solid and isn't super crazy. It is still big and has a lot of cushion, but it's just a really solid option, which I do like to wear, albeit not as much recently. And next are two kind of shoes that I try to wear at least once a day, and that is because I think with all these incredible shoes with super foams and super high cushion, my mechanics have started to get a bit lazy because I've been wearing shoes that are just incredible underfoot. And I'm not saying that these next two shoes aren't, they're just not as super soft and they're a bit more dialed and a bit more straightforward, which means I have to focus a bit more on my mechanics and not just run along with a massive bouncy shoe under my foot. So the first one is the Saucony Triumph 23. Again, it is still a massive shoe, it's just that the ride is a bit less aggressive and doesn't push you along the road as much as the other shoes I've mentioned so far. And for me that is really important because there's only so much you can kind of just want to reduce impact as much as possible. There is still quite a lot of mechanical training you can get out of your easy runs. So having a shoe like this...
One thing I noticed that runners look for in a shoe is that reduce impact. So important. I need to create a shoe that reduce impact.
This just helps you focus a bit more on running with the correct mechanics. And also sometimes it does get a bit, not annoying, but having a massive max cushion shoe on all the time does start to feel a bit lethargic at times. So this is one of the options I use where I really want to sort of dial in. And at the minute, this is the shoe I've been wearing on my easy long runs, just because I bash out 25K in one go. I want to have time to focus on my mechanics while still being protected, and this is a really good shoe for that. Almost identical to that is the Saucony Hurricane 23. It's probably the shoe that I've been wearing most frequently on my warm-ups and double days. I try to get a run in this every day at the minute. It is a bit more of a stability option, which means it's slightly firmer than the other shoes I've mentioned. I normally hate stability shoes. This is the only one that I have actually ever worn, which I enjoy running in, other than maybe the Puma Forever Run Nitro. But this is definitely the best stability shoe I've worn. It just feels really nice. And like I mentioned with the Saucony Triumph, it's not as massive and, just super as the other recovery shoes I've shared so far. So again, it just allows you to focus a bit more on those mechanics. And I think also the bit of the firmer ride helps more with warm-ups because it just gets your legs feeling a bit more poppy. That being said, it's still not a firm shoe. Next up is a category that's a bit smaller, and this is kind of where I really want to recover. These are shoes that I'd wear when I feel really battered, which hasn't happened yet in my training block so far. So I've not worn these for a few.
Okay, at this point I want to design a shoe similar to the foam runner. Very similar to this shoe. Not very similar, I want a different design but with the same idea. A shoe mixed with a Crocs. Review.
We desperately need your support to save this house of Allah. Your donation will help install new prayer carpets, new wudu areas.
The biggest selling point of the foam runners is the arch support. Here's my full review of the Easy Foam Runner Onyx. Let's get the need to knows out of the way. For sizing, the Adidas Confirmed app mentioned to go one size down because these run large. I did that and they are snug for me with socks on. So without socks, it feels just right. I've also heard different colorways means different sizing. So at least for this colorway, the Onyx one, you can go a size down if you want snug. The cost of the foam runners retail wise is $80 USD or about $115 Canadian. It's one of the more affordable retail pieces from Easy that I bought to date. Now on to the full review. Now this is the first Easy box I've noticed that had no text on the outside, but it's all written on the inside. Kind of interesting. Now in terms of comfort, these are super comfy. They have an extra stack of foam and the shape of the foam makes it incredibly soft and easy to walk in. It even offers arch support and not many shoes nowadays do. So I love that.
Important lesson for me, arch support. If the
thing. Now, in terms of comfort, these are super comfy.
wait.
They have an extra stack of foam, and the shape of the foam makes it incredibly soft and easy to walk in. It even offers arch support, and not many shoes now
super important, because if not many shoes nowadays offer the arch support, probably that's an advantage with the shoe I want to create. I need a shoe that offer arch support.
nowadays do. So I love that for my flat feet. Now, one of the inconveniences of the foam runner is that it's a little bit tough to slip on. You can't just put your foot straight into the shoe. You have to angle your foot perpendicular to the shoe and then twist your foot in order to slip it in. Now, this is not unique to only to the shoe and then twist your foot in order to slip it in. Now, this is not unique to only foam runners. There's other shoes such as Chelsea type boots that require you to do the same thing. So it's a little bit inconvenient, but I totally understand why they did this, because it helps your foot be secured into the shoe because of the narrow opening without using extra straps like Crocs or Merrell Hydro Mocs. The overall styling of the foam runners is definitely wild and ugly looking, and I feel like Crocs is owed a bit of credit due to the fact that they paved the road to accept this type of ugly shaped one material slip-on shoe. I love that the foam runners have a covered toe box because it allows your foot to have a little bit more protection, just like the Merrell Hydro Mocs. Unlike the Crocs, with the Crocs, they have a front hole where debris can get collected, sticks can go in, so it makes it a little less adventurous when you don't have a fully covered toe box. For me though, I kind of regret buying this, but not at the price that it's at. I regret buying it because the overall styling of the shoe is very difficult to match different outfits without making the shoe the loudest part of your outfit. Now, of course, a lot of people will say, oh, isn't that a good thing? Wouldn't you want it to be the loudest? Well, if your outfit isn't matching with your shoes, or it's very mismatched, or it doesn't feel like it flows with your shoes, then isn't that something to be, a little bit aware of? Now, of course, that might be something you're going for. Maybe you want to be loud. Maybe you want to be the one that stands out from the crowd and just wears the wildest things.Maybe that's you. For me, I like to make sure everything flows well. I'm not sure that the foam runners flow well with a lot of different outfits. So it's definitely a love-hate relationship for me. Anyways, if you've made it this far into this video, you must like my content. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and drop a hi or hello in the comment section below unless you have questions for me. Thanks for watching. This has been Billy Visuals. Y'all just got visual.
Okay, the most important lesson I take from this video is the arch support, because now, as this guy said, nowadays not many shoes offer arch support, so probably that's one thing I need to implement in my running shoes. Okay guys, 0 viewers, no problem guys. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you so much for being here. I have 0 viewers for now, but not forever. That's a promise. For now, but not forever. See you tomorrow, or probably I will do another stream today, playing a game, playing Zelda, I don't know, to engage more people. Thank you so much, and see you tomorrow. One life, one shot.